Honorable Amisi. Honorable Amisi. If he is not there, then his amendment is dropped. So you go to chair. Honorable Watch.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And I rise to propose an amendment that Clause 76 of the bill be dropped entirely. Mr. Chair, the reasons for this is that, number one, the entire question of housing has been a moving goalpost by this particular government. It started off as a tax, mutated into a levy. At some point, it changed into a saving. And Honorable Speaker, if you look at Honorable Chair, in terms of the hierarchy of needs, of what the people of Kenya, what the hustlers of this nation, what the people in my constituency considered to be the most important needs, number one would be the question of education. It would also be in paramaterial or on the same platform as the cost of living. This government ought to put its resources and time in bringing down the cost of living, as opposed to putting a tax on people who are already overtaxed with 16% fuel, already overtaxed with many other things, as to decrease the tax on helicopter parts and other things. So my proposal, Honorable Chair, is to have this amendment completely deleted from the clause and let the government allow the county governments, whose role it is under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, to be able to carry out the issue of affordable housing. And if the government must collect a tax, which they can do by having a 1% or 2% increase on VAT, as they have done, a 1% increase on pay, as they have done, and then give the county government a conditional grant to do the housing within the counties. Honorable Chair, this particular tax is punitive, it is excessive, it is unnecessary, and it is completely out of turn with the taxpayer and the hustler on whose backs this government rode on their heads. I ask that we agree to amend this clause to drop Clause 76 in its entirety. Thank you.
I want to propose the... Where's the thing? I propose the question that Clause 76 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Watch. No, members, no. On this one, I will disagree with all of you. This is a very controversial clause. Allow members to bend themselves a bit, please. I wanted to guide the House this way. I want to guide the House on this matter this way, that we have 7 amendments with the same import. Delete. Same import. So we have to decide whether you want to vote on every amendment on its own or all of them together. The effect of this, the effect of these amendments is the same. They all seek to delete. So we need to agree on how we want to proceed on that one, so that the Honorable Tiende.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my humble suggestion is that no matter the argument, if the amendment has the same effect, they be treated together. But my suggestion is consistent with the earlier practice, with the earlier clauses. Because the Chair himself has proposed amendments, I was suggesting, Chair, that you allow the Chair to propose his amendments, then you allow everyone who has proposed deletion and even who has not proposed but want to speak to it before we come to the voting. But that way we save time and we are consistent and everybody gets to speak. That's my humble suggestion.
Kaluma.
I thank you, Chair. Chair, what happens when there are several similar amendments is that whichever of the similar amendment is taken collapses the others. What then happens, Chair, is that because people who are seeking to make those amendments have positions to deliberate on before the House, everybody who had those amendments are allowed to speak to the matter. So I would say if just as myself, so many of us are proposing deletion as Honorable Oluoch, then grant us the opportunity, not moving again because the effect of how we treat Oluoch will be the same, but to make our comments to persuade the House on those similar amendments.
Honorable Kaluma, proceed to have the first bite on this matter.
I thank you. I thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I support the amendment brought by Honorable Oluoch. I brought a similar amendment also seeking to delete Clause 76. And Honorable Chair, for two reasons. Number one, the national government deals with housing policy under the 4th schedule. The matter of provision of housing, or housing as a function lies with the county government, so that it is not for the national government, whether we hide it in a finance bill or otherwise, to deal with matter housing. And I'm saying this, that these matters which the court can pick on in future, to stifle all these measures, we clear them out. Even if we passed this, honorable members, the court will pick it and say it is not a function for the national government. But secondly, Honorable Chair, I hear it is now moving from the housing levy, which was here, to something called tax. How would you make it a tax? It just does not make sense. So I would urge that we agree with Honorable Watch, we delete this, and we save whatever we have pulled through instead of having this thing stopped by the courts.
Thank you. The Honorable Nyikal.
Thank you, Chair.
Members, I'm going to give members who have amendments first, then when we will proceed from there.
Thank you, Chair. I also support Honorable Oluoch's amendment, which means mine then falls because they're the same. But, Chairman, Mr. Speaker, my issue with this thing is we are going to create a huge fund. As it is now, no structure has been put in place. We don't even know how that structure has been put in place. In this country, we have, wherever we have had huge funds, even with structures, these funds have not worked. Look at NHIF. Today we have NHIF, which is structured, a huge amount of money. People are not getting treated, and it is there. How can we be sure that this one, without structures even at this point, will actually work? Look at NSSF. NSSF is, in fact, I would have thought that we would improve NSSF and use that money in NSSF to actually develop housing. Which now, if you look at NSSF, that money is actually used to buy houses and even land, but not for the pensioners. All of us here, show me one old man who is actually living well because he's using the NSSF money that he has put aside. All that money has gone to cartels. Similarly, we are now putting this, and we are not quite sure, even the structure does not indicate who is going to own these houses. If you do not own the houses, what happens to the money you have put there? You cannot put a tax between a tax and a levy, and what happens is you do not know where that money is going.
Thank you.
It may be a good principle, but let us not implement it at this time. Put it in straight, tell us how it will work. Otherwise, this is just money for cartels. We are going to put, they are going to use it.
Thank you. The Honorable Makali.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
You got 90 seconds.
Honorable Chair had also proposed to delete this clause, and the reason is, Honorable Chair, if there is any matter which has been debated by Kenyans in this bill, it is actually the housing levy. A lot of our Kenyans are even thinking the finance bill is equal to the housing levy. And because of that, Honorable Chair, a lot of things have been said by Kenyans. I just want to single a few. There has been a general agreement, Honorable Chair, that there is demand for housing in this country, and we need to construct houses. But what Kenyans have not been very comfortable with is the approach and the strategy of implementing this important activity. The first one, Honorable Chair, what has come out is the issue of the legal framework to ensure that when I contribute, at the end of the day, I'll get money. That's the reason why it has been now changed to become a levy, so that once you pay and forget about it. The second issue, Honorable Chair, was the issue of how many Kenyans will benefit out of this levy, and those who are contributing, in case they don't benefit, how do they get their money back? That had been sorted now by the issue. So what we are saying is, this housing levy, the way it is being implemented, Kenyans are not comfortable with it. And that's why we were saying, what there is need for housing in this country, the approach is wrong. And it's on the basis of that we are saying, we delete it from this finance bill, maybe.
Thank you, the Honorable Undo. We got members who have amendments.
Chair,
the first bite on this.
Chair, I had an amendment similarly, and Chair, mine was premised on the following, that Article 43 of the Constitution provides that the government state organs shall provide housing, adequate housing. And it goes again on 4th schedule, section 2, number 8, that's donated to the county government. So honestly speaking, what we are doing here, this is an illegality, it's unconstitutional, as far as it goes, as far as it's concerned. Secondly, Honorable Chair, from even a housing economic point of view, even from a policy prescription, this is a wrong approach, Honorable Speaker, that's not going to yield anything. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to urge the committee to drop this for unconstitutionality and purely a flawed way of thinking that you can solve housing in this country by this kind of approach.
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I oppose the amendment.
Members, I still have Honorable Mbui and Honorable Basil for amendments before I move to anybody else. The Honorable Mbui.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, first let me address the lies that have been told about this program. First lie was that they were saying that the people who will be deducted are those that work for government. Members of parliament, MCAs, I don't know, teachers. It is not the truth. The truth is they want to deduct every employee, every hustler working for any company in this country. Second lie, Mr. Speaker, is that they are saying they want to provide employment. Mr. Speaker, not all our children work in the construction industry. Not all our children are masons, plumbers, or electricians, or casual laborers. Some of our children are doctors. How will you provide employment for doctors in this industry? And finally, Mr. Speaker, they must listen. We must listen to the 93% Kenyans who said they do not want this housing program because it reduces our disposable income, because NHIF has gone up, NSSF has gone up, pay-as-you-earn has gone up. How much do you want to hurt Kenyans?
Thank you.
Let us be fair, and VAT has also gone up. Mr. Speaker, let us agree and get rid of this animal called the housing levy.
Thank you. The Honorable Basil.
Come first before you go to housing. Number two, if you want really to give affordable housing, remove tax on timber, remove tax on steel, remove tax on iron sheets, and the people will build houses the way they want, and also employment will be generated because there will be mushrooming of construction. This particular, when it comes to housing, is devolved. So this discussion should be held in Senate. And since the bill cannot go to the Senate, then the only option we have is to delete it. And that's the key reason we want it deleted and removed from the bill. Thank you, and I submit my amendments.
The Honorable Minority Whip.
Chair, no. Chair, I will start to oppose this clause. Chair, first we have just raised taxes.
Just a minute. Honorable Junet, what we are now debating is the deletion as proposed by Honorable
I want to support them, yeah. Okay. I want to support the amendments by all the 7 members of deletion. Chair, we have just raised taxes that of salaries to 35%. People who are earning over 800,000. You are telling them to pay 3% again of housing levy. You are telling them to pay 2.5% of NSSF, your NHIF. So in the end, that person is going to pay 40% of his salary to taxes, Mr. Chair. Secondly, Chair, and the majority leader is here, This reminds me, this housing levy reminds me of something. That one time in this house, we passed another levy called Railway Development Levy. When it was brought here, under a finance bill like this one, we were told this is a levy that is going to be very good and we are going to use it to pay back the loans that we have taken from China for the SGR. 3 years later, an amendment was brought here by a majority leader like Honorable Ishungwa. And he said now, we need to open up this fund for any use, for anything. You know, and we told him how. We just passed it here that this levy is for paying the loan of the SGR. How did it end up becoming now a money for everything and everywhere? Chair, we are going through the same route. You know, what goes round comes round. The way things change, the way they're the same. Chair, what is going to happen is, this is money that is going to be collected in the name of housing, but it's going to be used for other things.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Tiende had an issue on this.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I support the deletion, and I want my colleagues to listen to me, because there's a point that we've made before, and Honorable Kaluma made it. You might think that you are defeating it by numbers. But if you really want the entirety of the finance bill, drop this housing levy. If you want the entirety to fail on this account, stick to it. Because it's clearly unconstitutional. And any lawyer on your side, I am not asking, I am telling you, any lawyer on your side will tell you that if you look at Schedule 4, housing is not a function of national government. You cannot raise a levy or a tax on something that is not your function. It's as simple as that. But that's just general advice.
Thank you.
Now let me come to the debate.
You got 1 minute to wind up.
First of all, there is no framework. And without a proper legal framework, this becomes a Ponzi scheme. None of you know now how the Sahasla scheme is being run. That is how this will go. Secondly, there's ultimate confusion in terms of affordable housing and affordable ownership. It uses both interchangeably. It's not the same. Affordable housing is where the house is owned by government and anybody can rent cheaply. Affordable ownership is where you own. Our very scheme of society, Osoro, does not allow you to go and own some 8th floor in Kisii town instead of your home, in your village. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, this amounts to slavery and servitude under Article 30. Slavery and servitude is where you are being told you must pay this tax, but there is no obvious way in which you will benefit. That is slavery and servitude is unconstitutional. Thank you very much.
I mean, I've just had 8 from this side. Let's hear the other side too. You've just had 8 this side. Honorable John Angeno. No, order. I've just had 8 from this side. Let's hear this side too. Go ahead. You got the mic?
Thank you, Speaker. I think, Mr. Speaker, I just want to assure the House and the nation that this is a very serious project, Mr. Speaker, and we need to support it 100%. Speaker, as to whether this issue is unconstitutional, Mr. Speaker, Article 43 of the Constitution demands from the government to provide housing to the citizens, Mr. Speaker. Shelter, accessible housing, and houses that they can access, even clean toilets and everything, Mr. Speaker. So that one is a constitutional provision. Number two, Speaker, if this housing, you know, when you listen to every member in this House, Mr. Speaker, every member speaks to the fact that there are so many slums in either constituencies they come from, in areas they come from. People talk about informal houses. People talk about slums. People talk about the houses where police live. People talk about the houses where prisoners and prison warders live. Mr. Speaker, the conditions of those particular houses are deplorable. How do we sort out these problems? Speaker, these houses, the affordable houses, this particular part of the bill is speaking to, does not only go to those people who want to rent houses, it also goes to those people who want to own houses. It also goes to those people who work for this government. It also goes to those people who are also business people. Mr. Speaker, how is the implementation of this particular...
Thank you. I want you to wind up.
How is the implementation? I've heard members talking about the implementation.
1 minute to wind up.
There is no law. Speaker,
There is what we call the National Housing Development Fund in place. There is also what we call the National Housing Corporation in place. The question of implementation of this particular fund, Mr. Speaker, was actually passed in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, nobody should state or claim that maybe when this money is collected, where does it go? It has a custodial authority that where this money will be in the name. Mr. Speaker, we have also ensured that this money is ring-fenced so that in the event, even when the government lack any other fund, it cannot access this particular fund.
Thank you. The Honorable Murugara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let nobody say what we are doing is unconstitutional, that the courts are going to annul. I'm sorry, that is an argument. We will also argue for the retention of what we are doing. Number one, shelter is a fundamental right. And the government is obligated to provide shelter. When you talk about, let's start. As far as the Constitution is concerned, housing policy is under the national government. And you look at your Constitution. The housing policy is under the national government. What the county government has is, development, planning,
Honorable Member, just a minute. Honorable Mbadi, it's
development.
Honorable Murugara, 1 minute.
Yes.
Honorable Mbadi, it's baffling that when I gave you a chance to speak, this side was silent throughout. I never had anybody interrupting. I would request that we also hear them in silence. It's just important what happens. Go ahead.
Yes. So the housing policy is under the national government. Planning and development, including housing, is under county governments. Housing policy includes how the government is going to plan to provide houses. And one such plan is actually the levy, so that we are able to build houses in a consultation and with the planning of the county governments. So for anybody to argue that if we pass this, it's going to be annulled by the courts, that's a fallacy. It's an argument, just the way I will also go to court to argue that we have to retain whatever has been done. Therefore, there is nothing unconstitutional with what we are doing.
Thank you. The Honorable Hillary.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I want to support the housing levy as moved by the finance chair. And Mr. Chair, and to oppose the amendments that have been raised by members over there. And Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by begging the members on the other side. 80% of Kenyans living in slums and informal settlements come from their constituencies. Mr. Chair, 20% of the others are only shared by the rest of us. There is no time, Chair.
The Honorable Minority Leader, what's out of order? Minority Whip, what's out of order?
Mr. Chair.
What is out of order?
Chair. Honorable Chair. Is it in order for Honorable Member from Kipkelio to insinuate that 80% of Kenyans who live in slums are from Azimio and are from our constituency?
Yes.
From where, Chair? And especially, and especially where the chair comes from. Honorable Chair, the chair himself. Chair. Is it in order?
The member for Kipkelio.
Can I proceed, Chair?
Order, members. The member for Kipkelio, I would advise that you are on the side of the truth.
Yes.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I want to say, secondly, Chair, that this housing...
No, maybe you didn't get me. I mean, here, when I say I mean, try to move towards the truth. Not error, but error, as it were. So go towards the truth, not double down on the lie.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
I was going to say that even the presidential candidate they supported was having this program word by word, the same way we are presenting it. And it beats logic, Chair, that they oppose programs that are coming to their area, including taxes on imported fish
from China to protect their people. Have mercy on your people. Thank you, Chair.
What's the name of this guy? The Honorable Mbadi, what's out of order?
Mr. Chairman, you know, in this house, again, I want to repeat, this is a house of records, and we need to speak facts. And when you have no information about something, you don't talk. When we were debating the issue of fish, the Honorable Member for Kipkelin was not here. Our people eat a lot of fish, double what is being produced. We want fish even from China because we want to eat.
You.
And by the way, Kipkelin has so many...
Thank you. Honorable Mengich, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a very important topic that we are discussing right now, and I'm surprised by the words mentioned by the Member of Parliament, Robert Mbui, the Kathiani MP, when he mentioned that their kids are doctors, I don't know, astronauts, and they are not engineers. Yet, as a construction manager, Mr. Speaker, being involved in the construction industry, there are so many parties involved in construction, including engineers, plumbers. So the kind of job creation that will be created in this, once this project is successful, is enormous. So that is why we support the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable KJ Kerie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I would, Chair, it is not in my place to request the House to at least be attentive to the debate, because this is a critical matter that we are debating. In fact, this is a core clause in the finance bill. Mr. Speaker, there are two reasons why I support this clause. Reason number one is that as much as the argument is being forwarded that it is not the function of the national government to build houses, it is also true that it is the national government that gives policy on housing. And Mr. Speaker, the issue that is at the fore here is not just about housing, Mr. Speaker. If they took time to read the proposal, they would find out that it goes beyond just housing, Mr. Speaker. There are three cases that I can mention that speak to three constituencies in this house. The Dagoretti South artisans who work along Ngong Road partnered with artisans from Starehe and artisans from Kamkunji to pilot the first 1,000 houses that were constructed in Park Road. And these artisans, three groups of artisans, netted total 122 million Kenya shillings that went to the pocket of hustlers who only constructed doors and windows.
Thank you.
So,
thank you. The Honorable Mutunga. Definitely.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. Chair, I just want to pose two questions. The first question is, I would like to know that Kenyan who is unemployed today and looking for a job, who would get an opportunity to get a job, and we ask them to pay 10% or 15% of their salary, and they say no. I would like to have one. Secondly, on our chair, we are looking at the entire country. We are a country which has no houses. We need to build these houses so that you can bring the cost down, increase the numbers and bring the cost down.
Thank you.
These are people who can be able to be assisted in this process.
Honorable Kalasinga.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, my amendment, my Chair, was coming also in same, but now it was about making this scheme voluntary. But now that I've seen this one, Mr. Chair, I also want to agree that now I have a question. If this scheme has to go on as it is, then my question is here. What becomes of people who are almost getting retiring who are 55 years? How long will they pay, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, I have a question on people with very slim pay slips. Some people have as less as 500 shillings on their pay slips. Mr. Chair, when you pay 1,000 shillings per month, this will, by simple calculation, tell me you will pay for 125 years so that you attain this house.
Thank you. The Honorable Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Mwenyekiti, na mimi naweza kuunga mkono hawa ndugu zangu waheshimiwa waliosema kuwa tuipuzilie mbali na tutupilie mbali hicho kipengo cha kuweza kulipisha wafanyikazi pesa ya ujenzi wa nyumba. Mimi nataka niseme hivi Mheshimiwa, kuwa wafanyikazi wengi wa Kenya wamechukua madeni.
Just a minute. Honorable members, it's just not right to keep shouting at me when another member is on our feet. I can't hear them. Let's just keep our cool. It's our house, it's our debate. When one person is speaking, allow them to contribute. I also want to hear what she's saying. Go ahead.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa. Wafanyakazi wengi, ukiangalia walimu, hata hawa mapolisi wamechukua pesa kwa deni, wameenda kujenga nyumba. Leo unasema katika pesa zao za mshahara wanakatwa tena pesa ya kwenda kujenga nyumba. Mimi nataka niulize, yule mwalimu ambaye yuko Mombasa, nyumba za jengwa Nairobi, atahama vipi Mombasa wakati amejiestablish kule Mombasa aje akae Nairobi? Huu ni wizi wa dhahiri. Waheshimiwa, mimi nataka niwaelezee, tupanue akili zetu, tufungue akili zetu, tusiwe tunasukumwa kama mteremko, tuwe viongozi ambao sisi tunawaza. Sio kila kitu sisi tunakubali, huyu anapiga huku tax, huyu anachukua na huku anatolea na huku, na sisi hapa tunagonga miguu tukisema ai. Wakenya wamechoka, Wakenya wamechoka. Huu ni wizi wa dhahiri. Sisi hatutaki watu kujengewa nyumba, tunataka watu wapewe kazi.
Thank you. Now 30 seconds each. Babu Wino, 30 seconds. Honorable Babu Wino. Use that one next to you.
Songa hivi basi. Toka tu kidogo.
Chair, please. Before I proceed, I would like you to just give me 2 minutes only, because 30 seconds I will not prosecute whatever I want to say. Chairman, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to educate my fellow members of parliament on this matter. In matters economics, number one, Chair, there are 3 types of goods. Number one, we have what we call the private goods. And in private goods, Mr. Speaker, in private goods, these are goods which are consumed by one party at a time. Example is housing, and another example of the private goods is cell phone and even a dinner. Then there is public goods, Mr. Speaker. Public goods are goods like roads and air, clean environment and air. Please, let me prosecute it. I'm not violent on this because I want it to stick in your mind. Number 3, we have merit goods. The merit goods are goods which must be encouraged by the government to consume, which are education and health. Therefore, on the matters of private goods, Mr. Speaker, it is not the role of the government to provide such goods like housing to its citizens. Mr. Speaker, we are being told that the main aim of providing houses is to eradicate slums. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you the truth that if we encourage provision of houses in urban centers, Mr. Speaker, more slums will sprout. We will create what we call in economics the dual economy, where we have the rural economy and the urban economy. Therefore, there will be high crime rate because people will be moving from the rural areas to urban areas with the intention of getting houses. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, the best way to treat this housing menace is simple, Mr. Speaker. Let the government come up with proper infrastructure. For example, construction of electric rails, where we will have electric trains, where a person in Kisumu can board an electric train.
Thank you.
Working.
Thank you. The Honorable Mishimbogo.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Mheshimiwa Spika, pia mimi naunga mkono viongozi ambao wamekataa ushuru kwa mambo ya kujenga ujenzi wa manyumba. Nataka niseme wafanyikazi wa umma kwa miaka mingi hawajaongezwa mishahara. Kwanza tungefikiria tatizo hilo la kuongeza mishahara kwa wafanyikazi wa umma, ndiposa tuweze kutoa ushuru katika zile pesa zao. Pesa za Wakenya zimekuwa zinatozwa ushuru tofauti tofauti, mpaka mtu akipata ile pesa yake anaona hakuna pesa ambayo amepata. Swali ni kwamba ikiwa mimi na mume wangu sote ni wafanyikazi wa umma na tunakatwa hizo pesa za mambo ya nyumba, je, sisi tunataka nyumba mbili? Je, tumeulizwa kama tutapenda nyumba moja ama tutataka nyumba mbili?
Honorable Alice Nganga. Honorable Alice Nganga.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, where I come from my constituency, I have a slum called Kiandutu, and I would want the Kiandutu people to have decent housing. Chair, once you give those people, we used to be told the three basic needs is food, clothes, and shelter. We are giving these people proper shelter. And Chair, I know the other side, they don't want us to give these slum people decent shelter. So that when the campaign period comes, they want these people all the time to keep on clapping for them when they are poor and they're in a poor state. We need to give these people the dignity they deserve. They want Kibera to remain Kibera so that they can find a place where they'll be campaigning all the time, because those people are vulnerable. It's a high time as a nation we say enough is enough and we give every Kenya a decent housing project.
Thank you.
They have to live with that.
Thank you. Honorable Nyoro.
Honorable Chair, mine is on procedure, and I request you that you rule, because Honorable Chair, we've been listening to the several amendments in terms of deletion. My request to you, Chair, is that then you allow the Chair for Finance to put forth his amendments, and therefore, Chair, when we vote to the Chair's amendment, then automatically, as Honorable Karuma had suggested, then the rest falls, Honorable Chair. That is my request, Honorable Chair.
The honorable members, the order. The consequence of the Honorable Lord's amendment is that if it is passed, then the matter ends there. There's nothing to talk about. And that's why you have to spend it. I want that to be understood very well. And I want us to be procedural. That order, members, order. We had 8 amendments with the same effect, deleting. And we have allowed members to ventilate on this matter. I'm going to give the last 2 to the leaders, both sides, leaders, not members anymore, leaders, and then we proceed to division. The Honorable Njoki Irene.
Thank you, Chair. It is very ironical when we sit here as members of parliament, we are getting loans of 3%, yet we don't want the normal hustler to get a loan of 3%. It is shameful, very, very shameful. It is very shameful when we, as members of parliament, we have hustlers in our constituencies. We don't want them to pay mortgages of 5,000 shillings where they can afford. We want them to pay mortgages of 15,000 shillings. I tell our people, please let your people benefit. And I, from Bahati constituency, as the main beneficiary in Bahati, where I don't even own a bank in Bahati, I will support this because my people will get jobs, we shall be able to get businesses, and we shall be able to generate income, and income will revolve around my constituency and other constituencies.
Thank you. Thank you. This chance now goes Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Chair, let me just say a few things. First and foremost, Chair, as I've said before, this housing levy or tax, in my view, is the mother of all scandals in this finance bill. if you ask me. There are very many other scandals in this bill, but this is the mother of all scandals. Mr. Chair, and I also want to state this, that this housing levy is akin to a pyramid scheme. Because as we speak, without the infrastructure, without the mechanisms, without the framework for administering it, we are basically throwing good money after bad money. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, let me say this. I am sure the average age of members of parliament in this house is about 40 years or so. Let me ask you, say 50. Let me ask you, for the time you have lived on this earth, in your village, who have you ever heard that has died because of lack of house or shelter? Who has died in your village for lack of a house? I can tell you, the majority of the people who have died in the villages have died because of hunger, lack of food. I can tell you, who did this survey or research to come up with this need for houses for Kenyans? Who asked you for houses? Who asked you? Why are you addressing a problem that is not there? Why can't you deal with the problem which is there, which is lack of food, Mr. Chairman? Why? Why are you insisting? Why are you insisting on providing a house to somebody who is starving? Mr. Chair, it is unbelievable that we want to tax Kenyans. In fact, this animal has continued to mutate. It was initially a fund, it became a saving, it became a circle, it became a fine, it went and became a penalty, now it is a tax. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, this animal, this mongrel called housing...
Thank you. Add in 1 minute, I agree.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very, very much for that indulgence.
Yes.
And therefore, really, if we want to save Kenyans, let us not indulge in this kind of scandalous adventure. We cannot afford to get into this kind of scandalous adventure when Kenyans are dying of hunger. Deal with the immediate problem, which is to address the issue of lack of food.
Thank you. The Honorable Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with the Leader of Minority. We need to deal with the scandalous adventure of millions of Kenyans living in slums. We need to deal with the scandalous adventure of millions of Kenyans going without food. And he has asked us very pertinent questions. Why are we worrying about shelter and not food? We are worrying about shelter and food at the same time. The reason why we have no food, why we are food insecure in this country today, is because millions of acres of land in Kiambu County, in Nakuru, in Karachuonyo constituency, in Narok, all over the country, where people are farming, we have disintegrated all that land to build slums in this country today. That is why we are food insecure today, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I will beg for your protection, as I protected the Leader of Minority, from members of the Kenya Kwanza Coalition. Honorable Speaker, we are being told by the Minority Whip that, like the Railway Development Levy, this housing levy, probably speculating that it may be opened up at some time in the near future to other uses. Minority Whip, I want to assure you, the housing levy, as early as tomorrow, or the day we do the appropriations bill, we shall ring fence this money to go only to housing, and we shall be appropriating the 73 billion shillings coming out of this levy to go to the Ministry of Housing to deal with affordable housing in Suna East constituency, among us the 100 constituencies. Honorable Speaker, ask the Honorable Junet to hold on. The Honorable Senior Counsel Tiende Omolo. And you know, the Honorable Senior Counsel speaks good English, as much as he never went to Alliance. But he went to a good school. And in his good English, he may convince the world to believe that he's the only one who can read this Constitution. But this Constitution, Honorable Speaker, the heart and soul of this Constitution is Honorable Speaker, can you protect me? Honorable Speaker, you know, senior counsel is a good
Order,
lawyer.
Honorable Junet, order. The majority leader will be heard in silence.
I will stone you, Junet.
The Honorable Junet, resume your seat. No. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the protection. I know Honorable Junet is averse to the truth when the truth is being laid bare. I was speaking to my good brother, senior counsel Otiende Amolo. The heart and soul of this constitution that you wrote is the Bill of Rights in Chapter 4. In this Bill of Rights, other than the Schedule 4 that you are talking to on the functions of county governments and the functions of the national government, under Article 43 of the Constitution, the right of every Kenyan to accessible, adequate housing and to reasonable standards of sanitation, not in slums. Reasonable standards is a right enshrined under the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is the soul of our Constitution. If there is anything to protect in this Constitution, Honorable Speaker, is the Bill of Rights. And in pursuit
Honorable, proceed to wind up.
Honorable Speaker, just
order, members. Order, members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Order. Members, you know, I've seen those who want to speak. We have time because once, allow me, I've noticed Honorable Wanjala, I've noticed everyone else want to speak on this. Once we finish this matter, there will be another amendment which will speak to. Allow him to finish. We proceed with this process. Honorable Majority Leader, please proceed to wind up.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for your protection. Honorable Speaker, if you can protect me.
Allow him to wind up. Allow him to wind up. Proceed, please.
Honorable Speaker, I beg that you add me the 2 minutes that have been wasted with the shouting on points of order, frivolous ones. But I was saying this, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Watch, resume your seat and allow the Majority Leader to finish his contribution. Then I will be able to see what to do about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker was saying the heart and soul of our Constitution is the Bill of Rights. Fittest to argue that since housing under Schedule 4 of our Constitution is a function of the county governments, that it is unconstitutional. The Bill of Rights is the heart and soul of this Constitution. Just like, Honorable Speaker, if we appropriate national government resources or resources raised by government through taxation to health care, that is outrightly a devolved function, we also can appropriate resources to housing, just like we appropriate resources to deal with health care, that is a devolved function, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also heard my good friend Otiende Amolo tell my majority whip that in his village in Kisii, he cannot live on the 8th floor. He must build a shanty in his village. I want to say, Honorable Speaker, the future is urban. And with urbanization, that is how we shall grow our economy. With urbanization and building of these houses, Honorable Speaker, we have said it numerous times that this is beyond housing. It is about millions of our youth who are languishing in poverty, who are languishing without jobs in our slums. Millions of youth in Kathiani constituency, lawyers, engineers, who will access jobs, architects who will access jobs. It is not just about the manual jobs. It is about lawyers.
Thank you. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, wind up.
50 seconds to finish that point.
Proceed.
And I was mentioning Kathiani for deliberately, because the Honorable Mbui told us that housing will not create architectural jobs. It will not create jobs for doctors. It will not create for engineers, for lawyers. Honorable Mbui, I want to tell you, all those jobs will be created by housing through urbanization. Even doctors, when people live together, will be able to amalgamate land and secure food security for the people of Ukambani, who for many years have had to depend on relief food.
Thank you. Thank you. No, members, allow me to guide this way. We are doing very well, members. Allow me to guide this way. Just like I've allowed order, just like I've allowed members to debate on the Honorable Watch's amendment, I will have a chance to give a couple of you again on the chair's amendments so that we make progress. Those who went to Alliance or those who went to Butler Boys like me will have a chance to say something on this bill. So I would then therefore propose that we are now going to, after this. So, honorable members, I therefore proceed to put the question. Members, remember we had amendments by the Honorable Oluoch, Honorable Nyukal, Honorable Makali Mulu, Honorable Wundo, Honorable Kaluma, Honorable Mbui, Honorable Basil. Members, the upshot of our vote is that if the vote is carried, then we have carried the vote for the 7. If it fails, it also fails with it. So therefore, members, I proceed to put the question that clause 76 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Watch. I put the question that clause 76 be deleted. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of that contrary opinion say nay? Nay. Obviously the nays have it. The nays have it. That's Brett. Thank you. Order, members, order, order. Little Manjala, order. Now, this is now the time for the chair to move his amendment.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move. Please protect me from the noise from behind. I can't hear myself. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 76 be amended as per the order paper. And Honorable Chair, I'll beg to move a further amendment to that clause 76. We had a deliberation with the Honorable Caleb Mule, the Member of Parliament from Machakos Town constituency, and he had this proposed amendment to clause 2A that we have agreed to carry on with the recommendations by our committee as a committee amendment, that an additional clause 2A be added to read as follows: the affordable housing levy shall not be used for any other purpose other than development of affordable housing and associated social and physical infrastructure, as well as the provision of affordable home financing to Kenyans. So beg to move that the amendment be done as per the order paper with that additional amendment as we've carried as proposed by the Honorable Caleb Mule, the MP for Machakos Town constituency. I have a few notes, a point of information on this. The question have been asked, first of all, why is it on gross pay and not on basic pay? The proposal before us, first of all, was that this be done at the rate of 3%. And after public participation, we agreed that 3% will be too high to start with. Let us shelve that by half to 1.5%. The question is, do you make it basic or do you make it gross? If you make it basic, honorable members, it defeats the whole purpose. For what reason? If someone has a salary of 100,000 shillings in the private sector, and you say that this particular levy is going to be based on their basic pay, so they're going to use what you call in accounting tax planning and reduce their basic pay to 20,000 shillings, and the 80,000 shillings will be allowances. So that means that the objective of the 73 billion shillings, as alluded by the Leader of Majority, that is targeted to build affordable housing for Kenyans, will be defeated. Secondly, the initial bill had a proposal to have a cap of 2,500 shillings for employer and 2,500 shillings for employee. And Honorable Chair, this particular provision we agreed as a committee are going to delete. For what reason? For you members of parliament that earn an income of above 500,000 shillings, for example, if you capped this to the amount of salary that members of parliament earn is public knowledge. So, okay, for someone who earns 500,000 shillings, let me use as an example. If you cap
if you cap their contribution to 2,500, then it will mean they're not contributing if they even earlier proposed 3%. For what reason? Because the 2,500 divided by 500,000 shillings is 0.005%, which would mean that that particular capping was advantageous to those people that are earning more, but punitive to those people. Because it would, however, anybody would have argued that it was discriminatory for those people who are earning less and advantageous to those people who are earning more. On the question of this affordable housing, because I want to make this last contribution, we have, as at yesterday, 42 signed memorandum of understanding between the State Department of Housing and county governments. And key to note is that the 42 county governments are across the political divide. So our governors, both Kenya Kwanza governors and Azimio governors, have actually signed MOUs with the State Department of Housing, giving land in their counties to be used for affordable housing. Everyone is agreeing that this is a noble cause, and that is why I beg that this House agrees with the amendments as proposed by the committee. And with that, I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I now propose the question that Clause 76 be amended as proposed by the Chair of the Finance Committee. The members, we agreed we will give, first of all, there's on order members, the Honorable Mule. Honorable Mule had an amendment which was carried, so I would like him to just say a word. Okay, the Honorable Wanjala. Oh, the Honorable Mule, go ahead. 1 minute, Honorable Mule. It's okay. As we get Honorable Mule, let's get Honorable Wanjala. 1 minute.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, we have institutions in this country that can build houses. And Mr. Chairman, these houses have not been started to be constructed by Kenya Kwanza government. The former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the former President Mwai Kibaki started construction of affordable houses, and they never taxed anybody. Mr. Chairman, Uhuru has been building houses. He has never taxed anybody. And we have specific housing institutions. We have NSSF that is supposed to construct houses. We have National Housing Corporation is supposed to build houses. And then we have we have finance, trust, Mr. Speaker. I was in Rwanda 2 weeks ago. They are constructing houses, but they are not levying anybody. They are not taxing anybody. Mr. Chairman, this is a scandal in the offing, like the golden bag. Because even as we are talking today, NSSF coffers is empty. They have already washed it. It is, they have taken all the money, it is empty. The same way they will deal with the issue of the house.
Thank you. The Honorable Mule, who was supposed to get, I don't know whether you can find him now.
Thank you, Thank you, Chair. Chair, mine is just to thank the Finance Committee for accepting to adopt my proposed amendment. The proposed amendment as it is in clause 76, 31B3, as it is in the order paper, that the affordable housing levy not to be used for any other purpose other than the development of affordable housing. Basically, this was to ring-fence the fund not to be used in any other purposes other than to build houses, affordable houses.
Thank you.
Chair,
Thank you.
Chair, just a minute, Chair. This was necessitated by other funds that have been there in the country, like the sports fund. The sports fund was set aside to grow and develop sports, which does not do that, does not serve that purpose. So, Honorable Chair, I thank the...
Thank you. Thank you so much. Honorable members, I proceed to put the question that Clause 76 be amended as proposed by the Chair of the Finance Committee. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of that contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. I now proceed to put the question. That Clause 76 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. I've confirmed that we have the numbers for division. I order that the bell be rung for 5 minutes and the clerk to prepare for the division.
Very good evening to you and welcome to the Parliamentary Broadcast Unit in collaboration with KBC, where the National Assembly is currently on a 5-minute break, where the bell for division has rung for 5 minutes and political leaders from across the political divide are currently on a break to marshal numbers ahead of the voting. Remember, the National Assembly is currently considering several proposed amendments to the Finance Bill 2023 that is currently at the Committee of the Whole House stage before it's enacted into law. The members of Parliament have been considering Clause 76 of the Bill on Housing, where the Employment Act 2017 is amended by inserting the following into the new sections. That is, notwithstanding the provision of Section 3(2)(a), B, C, and D of the Act, each employee and all employers shall pay a monthly levy to be known as the Affordable House Levy. That says that the purpose of the Affordable House Levy shall be to provide for the funds for the development of affordable housing and associated social and physical infrastructure, as well as the provision of affordable home financing to Kenyans. Also, the monthly levy to be payable by the employer and employee shall be 1.5% of the employee's gross monthly salary for the employer. This means that an employer shall pay to the National Housing Development Fund established under Section 7 of the Housing Act in respect of each employee, the employer's contribution at 3% of the employer's monthly basic salary. Remember earlier on, the members of Parliament in the morning, capped at the housing contribution, which was earlier capped at a maximum of 2,500 and matched by employers, will now go directly to the government's bank's account as opposed to a fund. By making it a levy as opposed to a contribution, the money shall not be refundable to employees as in the earlier proposal. The National Treasury had initially proposed a 3% contribution that would have been matched by employers also at 3%. Earlier on, the members of Parliament voted to pass the proposed 16% VAT on fuel, with 184 members of Parliament voting for the fuel to be increased, the VAT from 8% to 16%, while 88 voted against it. The employees who qualify for the affordable housing, the contribution accrued to employee and shall be used to finance and purchase of a home under the affordable house scheme, or for employees who are not eligible for affordable housing upon expiry of 7 years from the date of the start of making the contribution after the attainment of their retired age, whichever is earlier, a transfer of the contribution to a retirement benefit scheme or a pension scheme registered with the Retirement Benefits Authority, RBA, or a transfer of their contributions to any person registered and eligible for affordable housing under the National Housing Development Fund, NHDF, or a transfer of their contributions to their spouse or dependent or children. On 5, or to receive their contribution in cash, provided the contribution paid out in cash shall be included in the contributor's taxable income for the year and be subjected to tax at the prevailing rates. Remember, the employer shall remit both employee and employer's contribution to the National Housing Development Fund before the 9th day of the following month after the deduction has been made. This, the Cabinet Secretary responsible for matters relating to housing, in consultation with the Cabinet Secretary responsible for matters relating to finance, shall make regulations prescribing the qualifications to participate in the affordable housing scheme. And number 6, this section shall become effective on the date the regulations made. Subsequent 5 come into operations. And as you can see, members from across the political divide right now are consulting ahead of the voting with the Speaker, saying that the voting shall be happening in 5 minutes. The members from across the political divide, as you can see on your screens, are consulting with those from the opposition, saying that taxing of wananchi of 1.5% and 1.5% from the members of from the employee and that of the people will subject the taxpayers into a lot of money, especially now during financial crisis. However, those from
resume your seat. Members, resume your seats. Members, resume your seats. I now order that the bar be drawn. Order, members, resume your seats.
No, we are too many here.
Of course, okay.
Let us leave.
It's not so me. I'm going to order. What's wrong with you? I'm going to order that you sit back there so they give me another voting. You can't do that. Order, members. May we resume our seats? Order, members. The Honorable Memusi, resume your seat. The Honorable Luke, resume your seat. The Honorable Ben Suda, resume your seat. Order, members. Order, members. Order, members. Order, members. I request that the minority side to nominate two agents from minority side and 2 from the majority side, not 10 like they're on my back. 2 from each side. Members, resume your seats. Honorable DK, Honorable Ruto, resume your seats. Honorable Hillary, resume your seat. Honorable Maua, resume your seat. Order members, Honorable Engineer Oscar Sudi, resume your seat. Honorable Dipo Kwame, resume your seat. Honorable Dipo Kwame, are you standing or sitting? Resume your seat. Honorable Kawaya, resume your seat. We shall, honorable members, order. We shall vote as required by the laws and our standing orders that we shall vote yes or no, and we shall vote in silence and with decorum. Honorable members, I proceed to put the question that Clause 76 as amended be part of the bill. Go ahead.
Chepkonga Kiprono, Langat Benjamin, Kitani Marian, Atandi Samuel, Owino John Walter, Mrembo Irene Joki, Churie Abdi Omar, Churie Abdi Omar, Sergon Florence, Kandie Joshua,
give him the mic.
On behalf of the people of Baringo Central, I vote yes.
Kipkoros Joseph Maklap, Kamuren Charles, Koesh Nelson, Momanyi Innocent, Momanyi Innocent,
I vote yes.
Barongo Norfason,
I vote no.
Alpha Miruka Ondieki, Lynette Chepkorir, Kilel Richard Cheruiyot, Yegon Richard,
Members, be loud enough, members, be loud enough so they can hear you.
Mwamacha Onchoke, Ogola Gideon Ochanda,
No. Yes.
Ogola Gideon Ochanda, Osero Patrick Kibagendi,
Obara Eve.
Kabondo Kasipul votes no.
Order, order, order. The person voting next was Patrick Osero, not Obara. Patrick Osero.
Obara was called ahead.
You are called before.
I was called before, Osero. Can you start again, please?
The Honorable Eve Obara, resume your seat. Your chance will come.
Okay.
Give up the mic.
Osero Patrick Kibagendi. Wanjala Raphael.
Media houses, make sure you print who voted yes and no and abstain. I vote no.
Wamboka Nelson. Wamboka Nelson.
On behalf of the people of Bumula and the people of Kikuyu constituency, I vote no.
Wambilianga Catherine. Wambilianga Catherine. Yakub Ado. Yakub Ado. Komingoi Kibet Kirui. Komingoi Kibet Kirui. Omanyo Catherine. Mwale Nicholas Tindi. Oyula Joseph. Mwiridhania Rindikiri. Kirema Moses Gishuna. Chimbwa Omar Mwinyi.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing. Mr. Chairman, I'm voting no. Madam Chair, I'm voting no.
Thank you. And no speeches, kindly. Let us just say yes or no so that we can proceed faster.
Koech Victor Kipngetich. Baraza Patrick Simiu. Diego Paul Kibichi. Ntwiga Patrick Munene. Mahali Mfara. Elachi Beatrice. Waweru John Kiaria.
Order. Don't Wamboka, you do that again, there'll be consequences to it. Members will vote individually. Don't Wamboka. You try to vote for another member again, there'll be consequences. Members are voting for themselves. Allow members to vote for themselves, not you voting for members. Yes.
Waweru John Kiaria. Sirma Musa. Welie Adam Kenan. Caroline Geptong Elechei. Gadhiru Mejadong Benjamin. Mejadong. Ongili Babu Owino.
I, Babu Owino, Member of Parliament for Embakasi East Constituency, First Class Honours holder in Actuarial Science, an actuary, a lawyer, 6 diploma holder. I vote no. Just trying to say that my conscience is clear as I'm voting.
Gakuya James Mwangi. Mawade Julius Musili.
What from here?
From here, bro. That's good.
Mawade, on behalf of the people of Embakasi South, I vote no to this punitive levy.
Proceed.
Mwenje Mark Samuel Muridi.
I vote no.
Thank you.
Double N Pamela Njoki. Lelmengit Jose Kipto.
I vote yes.
Omboko Milemba. Omboko Milemba.
He's not there. He's not here. He is not in the hall.
Kipiegon Johanna Ngeno. Pukose Robert. Yakub Farasala. Oundo Wilberforce Ojiambo.
On behalf of suffering workers in this country, I vote no.
Members, if any member anymore now makes a speech, we will not use the mic going forward. It's either yes or no. Proceed.
Yakub Farasala.
Before is a yes, bro. Before is a yes, bro. Yes, thank you. 51 to
Iribae Said Buya.
Who? Say.
Tungule Sharo Kenneth.
Is he back?
Yeah, confirm again. Come on, you put it.
Tungule Charo Kenneth.